Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, your go-to spot for all things historical romance, where we dig into the twists, the feels, and the lines that stick with you long after the last page. Today, I'm breaking down a story that hit me right in the heart, a tale of hidden love, missed chances, and the kind of devotion that makes you rethink what happily ever after really means. I am Xie Lanyin, and my name means fleeting love. If I could live my life all over again, would it be better? After rebirth, I still chose the young general who had treated me with cold politeness in my previous life, and rejected the infatuated third-place graduate in the Imperial examination. A road I had already walked through once, avoiding all the hidden dangers, should be easier this time. Combined with my past life, I was already an 80-year-old woman. I did not crave deep conjugal love, I only sought a peaceful and steady life. When Yunjung was pressed by his foster mother to come propose marriage, his face was as dark as a pot bottom, with faint palm prints faintly visible on it. Compared with Lu Guan, the third-place graduate with a shy, handsome face and affectionate eyes, he did not look like he was proposing marriage at all. He looked like he was being forced into a marriage against his will. Logically, we were childhood sweethearts with similar personalities. Even if there was no spark of love, we should not have ended up hating each other for a lifetime. But fate had it that he loved my elder sister, and his mother insisted that he marry me. What's more, I truly wanted to marry him. One thing led to another, so he looked at me as if he had seen a ghost. In my previous life, I had truly loved Yunjung. The young general on a silver saddle and a white horse was like a bright light breaking into the deep courtyard. At 16, he had charged through enemy camps alone, yet he would still climb trees to retrieve my broken kite for me. After marrying him as I wished, I had truly wanted to live a loving and respectful married life with him. But he never liked me. Even though I was jealous of the women he took into the mansion one after another, I had to pretend to be virtuous and generous, skillful at managing the household, and strive to be a general's wife beyond reproach. I was like a candle burning night after night, and the person in my heart gradually faded from my heart. Burning and waiting, I eventually turned into a haggard old woman with white hair and wrinkled skin. Before he died, he rarely showed tenderness and wiped away my tears. He said, "If there is an afterlife, do not marry me again. Go find someone who loves you." With tears in my eyes, I nodded. After his death, I lived for another 20 years before passing away peacefully. I was reborn back to the day when marriage was being discussed for me. I ignored Yunjung's twitching eyes as if I saw nothing, calmly accepted the betrothal gift from the Yun family, and watched the third-place graduate leave in a daze, just like in my previous life. I chose Yunjung not because of love. Combined with 2 lives, I had lived for 80 years. Talking about love and romance was just nonsense. Just like my elder sister entering the palace was the best choice for our declining Marquis of Chongyang Mansion to turn its fortunes around. Marrying into the general's mansion was also the best choice I had made after careful consideration. I had been ordinary since I was a child. My appearance, schemes, and talents were all inferior to my elder sister's. For 3 generations, the Marquis of Chongyang Mansion had not produced a single capable descendant. My parents had placed all their hopes on my brilliant elder sister. People who admired her were as numerous as the fish crossing the river. Only Lu Guan was left for me. Of course, I knew that Lu Guan had hidden me in his heart all his life, and that he would eventually become a top-ranking minister. I also knew that his family had a difficult widowed mother, a melodramatic younger sister, and a princess who had been infatuated with him for half her life. There were also 10 years of scorching heat in southern Jing, and 10 years of wind and sand in northern Xinjiang that tempered him into the later Prime Minister Lu, who handled affairs with ease. But even though I had regained my 17-year-old body, my heart was still that of an octogenarian. When people grow old, they tend to prefer an unchanging life. Eating the same food, drinking the same tea, listening to the same operas, wearing the same wedding dress as in my previous life, marrying the same person. Compared with my previous life, when Yunjung did not even lift my wedding veil. In this life, he went even further, he did not even enter the bridal chamber. My mother-in-law came over in embarrassment and said, "Lanyin, wait." Tomorrow I will surely teach this foolish boy a good lesson. I was considerate and said, Mother, it's all right. Brother Yunjung is busy with military affairs in the army. I understand. My mother-in-law waved her hand, and the nurse behind her brought up a 4-layered large food box from Fanlu, filling the room with a rich aroma. She had always been this kind to me. My mother-in-law had given birth to 3 sons, and her only daughter was about the same age as me, but she died of illness before she was 100 days old. When I was little, my mother was wholeheartedly focused on my elder sister, so my mother-in-law would take me home, buy me skirts, and braid my hair every day, indulging her desire to raise a daughter. Just like how Yunjung would never love me, my mother-in-law had loved the ordinary me since I was a child. I had struggled with this for more than 30 years, and only after I reached the age of 50 did I understand that love is the most unreasonable thing in the world and cannot be forced. 9 out of 10 things in life do not go as one wishes. Except for my husband, who did not love me, I had already lived a very comfortable life. The general's mansion had a small population and few rules. I could make my own decisions. I had a mother-in-law who doted on me and generous, obedient younger brothers-in-law. I was already very happy. After my mother-in-law left, I went to bed early. After a tiring day, even a young body would feel worn out, let alone my old bones. I took off the hairpins and ornaments from my head, washed off the sticky hair oil, and removed the thick makeup. Finally, I felt much lighter. I lay on the familiar elaborate canopy bed and turned off the lights early. When people grow old, they really get used to their own beds. My maid Kaiki asked cautiously, Madam, should we wait for master? I turned over and hugged the pillow, saying, No need. There will be no need to wait from now on. We had been married for 60 years, and the days he spent in my room could be counted on one hand. The next day, I woke up early, had a light breakfast, and went alone to serve tea to my parents-in-law. The stick my mother-in-law had prepared last night was useless. Yunjung had returned to the border overnight. It would be 3 years before I saw him again. That time, he brought back a pregnant woman who looked 5 parts like my elder sister. In fact, if he had not said so, no one would have noticed the resemblance. All beautiful women in the world look alike, only ugly people are different in their own ways. At first, I really thought he just preferred this delicate style, so I actually went on a strict diet for many years. Standing beside my father-in-law was a gentle, beautiful, slim-waisted and plump concubine. This must be concubine Lin. My mother-in-law's face was very ugly, but she forced a smile when she looked at me. Fortunately, my father-in-law usually stayed at the border with his beautiful concubine, so he did not cause her trouble often. In another 5 years, my father-in-law would die from old wounds. Concubine Lin, whom my mother-in-law regarded as a thorn in her side now, would later become her important partner in playing leaf cards. It took her many years of playing leaf cards to realize that it was not worth falling out with others over a man. After meeting my father-in-law's concubine, Yunjung's 2 maidservants who shared his bed came forward to serve me tea. I rewarded each of them with a pair of golden bracelets and promoted them to the status of concubines. Both concubines were chosen by my mother-in-law. They were honest and dutiful. When they saw the bracelets, they kowtowed even more earnestly. In my previous life, I still thought they were an eyesore, seducing Yunjung with their charms. I only gave them 2 silver ingots casually and refused to grant them the status of concubines. Yunjung was busy taking one new lover after another, and these 2 honest maidservants wasted half their lives in the backyard. What fault did they have? The reason Yunjung did not love me was simply that he did not like me. It had nothing to do with these women. What's more, what was the point of liking someone? Yunjung said he loved my elder sister, yet he still did not hesitate to sleep with others. True love was like my mother-in-law, who had once married her beloved. My father-in-law had risked his life to earn military merits and begged for an imperial edict to marry his sweetheart. When my mother-in-law gave birth to the twin younger brothers-in-law, she almost lost her life. My father-in-law ate vegetarian for 3 years to pray for her recovery, but now their love had faded. My elder sister was named Xie Lanyin. When she was born, My parents had been deeply in love. But I, born 5 years later, was named Xie Lanyin, meaning fleeting love, for even deep youthful affection could turn into mutual dislike. I thought of Lu Guan, whose hair was white, whom I met in the backyard of the Buddhist temple as I grew old. It was snowing heavily that day. He looked at me from the other side of the long corridor through the wind and snow. Many days after he left, I found a poem where he had stood. Suddenly, an old lover crosses my mind. Looking back, the mountains and rivers are already in autumn. If we can share the snow together in lovesickness, then in this life, we can be considered to have grown old together. That time, I met his mother and younger sister at the Buddhist temple. They hated me for no reason, even though I was just a stranger. I was somewhat glad that we only shared the snow and did not grow old together. Some love is surging only when separated by mountains and seas. When it falls into daily life, year after year, it will be ground to dust. 3 days after the wedding, only my mother-in-law and I were left in the mansion again. The twin younger brothers-in-law were studying at Dongshan Academy. My mother-in-law had bought a villa at the foot of Dongshan Mountain and usually lived there. In my previous life, my mother-in-law had wanted to take me with her to the villa, but I refused. I had not given up hope, thinking that Yunjung would not abandon me. If I waited a little longer, he would come home. This time, I did not want to wait anymore. I packed my luggage early and followed my mother-in-law to the villa. The villa in autumn was as beautiful as a landscape painting. The maple forest on the back mountain was blazing red, and the persimmon trees were hung with lantern-like fruits. The stream surrounding the villa reflected the blue sky, and the pebbles at the bottom were clearly visible. The reeds by the stream were in full bloom, and the white catkins swayed in the wind. Several egrets stood in the shallow water, occasionally pecking at small fish, stirring up circles of ripples. The villa was a 2-entry courtyard with white walls and black tiles. It was not as grand as the general's mansion, but my mother-in-law had decorated it bit by bit. The flowers in front of the hall, the bamboo behind the house, and the koi carp in the small fish pond exuded warmth and comfort. My mother-in-law lived in the backyard with the 2 younger brothers-in-law, and the front yard was reserved for Yunjung and me. The 2 rooms on the west side had been cleaned up for me in advance by my mother-in-law. There was a soft couch by the window in the outer room, and a mother-of-pearl small table in front of the couch. Behind the screen was a warm pavilion in the inner room. Now that the autumn wind was getting cooler, the pavilion was paved with thick mattresses and stacked with several brocade quilts. The afternoon sunlight filtered through the gauze curtain, dyeing the whole room honey-colored. I suddenly felt lazy, not wanting to do anything, not thinking about anything, just wanting to have a good sleep. If there are no trivial matters hanging over the heart, it is the best time in the world. The next afternoon, I was taking a nap when I was woken up by noise from the front yard. When I walked to the front yard, Yun Ting and Yun Hui were kneeling side by side, with a flapping white crane in front of them. A small arrow was stuck in its wing, and blood stained the white feathers red. My mother-in-law was so angry that her hand holding the stick was shaking. "You two were sent to the academy yesterday, and today you shot down the mountain master's crane that he has raised for 10 years. The 2 boys took more than a dozen hits, but still shrank their necks and defended themselves. We thought it was a wild crane. Wild your head." My mother-in-law hit him on the back with a stick. I squatted down to check the crane's injury. Fortunately, the arrow was only stuck in the flesh and had not hurt the bones. I looked up at the nurse beside me and said, "Nurse, quickly bring my medicine box and Yurong golden ointment from my room." The ointment was a gift from my elder sister. If applied to the skin every day, it would make one radiant, and it contained snow lotus, which was extremely effective for healing wounds and removing scars. My mother-in-law stopped me and said, "Such a precious thing, keep it for yourself. How can you use it on a wild animal?" "Mother, no matter how precious something is, it is meant to be used." I held my mother-in-law's hand and said, "If the crane is healed, the mountain master's anger will be half gone. A woman dresses up for the one who pleases her. Now I only wanted to please myself, so it was a waste to leave the Yurong ointment unused." My mother-in-law sat down, gasping for breath, and pointed at the 2 boys, scolding, "No food. Go kneel in the firewood room." I personally pulled out the arrow from the crane, applied the ointment, and wrapped its wing with a clean cloth strip. The crane seemed to understand human nature. It looked at me with its black bean-like eyes and did not make a sound. After treating the crane, my mother-in-law finally relaxed, but she was so angry that she felt dizzy. I quickly helped her back to the room to rest. After my mother-in-law fell asleep, I asked the kitchen to prepare 2 bowls of hot soup noodles and sent them to the firewood room. Yun Ting and Yun Wei were kneeling side by side. When they saw me coming, their eyes lit up. "Sister-in-law." "Shh." I handed the bowls to them and said, "Eat quickly, and wipe your mouths after eating." Yun Wei held the bowl, his eyes red, and said, "Sister-in-law, you don't blame us?" I smiled and said, "I do blame you. The Yun family's archery is peerless, but your skills are poor. You even missed when shooting a crane." After laughing, I said seriously, "Be more careful in the future. Do not wield swords, guns, or bows and arrows randomly outside the training ground. Also, go to the mountain master's house to apologize tomorrow with a sincere attitude. Do you hear me?" "Yes." The 2 boys nodded repeatedly, so obedient that one wanted to rub their heads. One could not tell that they would become terrifying figures on the battlefield in the future, striking fear into the hearts of enemies. Only the red marks on their faces were unsightly. I took out the remaining Yurong ointment and applied it to their faces, then stuffed the ointment into their hands. "Apply it to your wounds yourself, especially your swollen buttocks. Do not delay your classes." The 2 boys blushed and said, "Sister-in-law." I held back my laughter and left. Yun Jung and I had been living separately. After my mother-in-law passed away, I still lived alone in the villa, inevitably feeling lonely. Only these 2 younger brothers-in-law often came to see me with their wives and children. They were really good children. I lived a leisurely life in the villa for a month. Then Manager Lee, who was part of my dowry, came with silver. On the day I left the mansion, I packed all my daily necessities, clothes, and jewelry from my dowry. The large items that were difficult to carry, the canopy bed, jade screen, and the silk and satin gifted by my elder sister, I had Manager Lee sell them. Before Yunjung was seriously injured at the age of 40, he had been stationed in northern Xinjiang and rarely spent time with me. Most of the time, I stayed in the general's mansion with his concubines, who had gotten pregnant and then fallen out of favor one after another. Over these decades, 2 emperors had changed, and the capital had suffered 3 rounds of wars. I had taken refuge in the villa 3 times, and later simply lived here permanently. The general's mansion had risen to prominence thanks to my father-in-law's military merits, and my mother-in-law had brought silver as her dowry when she married far away. Every time we fled, it was difficult to carry my dowry, so I simply sold it all. I sold the items piece by piece and got 4,300 taels of silver. I bought the neighboring villa for 4,000 taels and asked Manager Lee's family to move there and take care of it. Although Dongshan was remote now, it was thus spared from the wars. The land here was fertile, and everything grew well. The villa that my mother-in-law had bought by chance later became the whole family's refuge. In the villa, we planted crops in spring and harvested in autumn. The grain that could not be sold could be stored for our own consumption. I also rented out the 2 shops with good locations that my mother had given me as part of my dowry. One had an annual rent of 80 taels, and the other 100 taels. These 2 shops did not make much money, and after several wars I lost all my investment. The businesses I had partnered with other noble ladies in the capital over the years had also basically all failed. I lost more money than I earned from sales. 80 years of life had taught me one thing. I really had no talent for business. The only thing I was good at was being born into a good family. I could just hold on to the money my parents and elder sister had given me and live a steady life. On the day of the start of winter, the first snow fell at the foot of Dongshan Mountain. I got up early and pushed open the window. I saw a thin layer of white covering the eaves. The reeds by the stream turned into silver strips, and several sparrows hopping in the snow looking for food. My mother-in-law was wrapped in a thick cotton-padded jacket, directing Yun Ting and Yun Hui to sweep the snow under the corridor. The two younger brothers-in-law were breathing out white air, swinging their brooms quickly, and snow particles splashed everywhere. Yun Ting took advantage of my mother-in-law's inattention to make a snowball and throw it at Yun Hui, hitting him right on the back of the neck, making him jump up from the cold. The two started a snowball fight in the snow. My mother-in-law was so angry that she wanted to hit them with a broom, but I stopped her and said, "It's rare to have a holiday. Let them play for a while." "You just spoil them." My mother-in-law glared at me, but there was a smile in her eyes. In the afternoon, the snow fell heavier. We sat around in the warm pavilion. I brewed a pot of hot tea, and my mother-in-law peeled fried chestnuts, watching snowflakes fall on the old plum tree in the yard one by one. Winter passed and spring came. Cold and heat alternated. Happy times were always short, and 3 years passed in the blink of an eye. Yan Zheng sent a letter saying that the war in northern Xinjiang had been pacified this year, and he was coming back. My mother-in-law and I packed our luggage and took Yun Ting and Yun Hui back to the capital to spend the new year. This time, the ones we welcomed into the mansion together with my mother-in-law were not only Yun Zheng, but also Liu Yiyi, a young widow from a tofu shop in northern Xinjiang. Yun Zheng knelt straight in the main hall with the pregnant Liu Yiyi and said, "My son is unfilial, but Yiyi has been with me for 2 years in the bitter cold of the border. Now she is pregnant, and I cannot let her down." My mother-in-law was so angry that her whole body was trembling. "You abandoned Lanyin on your wedding night 3 years ago. She has respected and served the elders and managed household affairs for you. You have been away for 3 years, and when you come back, you bring a woman with a big belly. Are you trying to humiliate Lanyin or me?" "Mother, calm down." I stepped forward and held her trembling hand. "Master is busy with military affairs, and I do not feel wronged. Miss Liu is pregnant, which is a happy event for the mansion. I want to speak to the general alone. Please grant me permission, mother." Back in the room, Yun Zheng stood in the middle of the hall. The cold air from his armor still not dissipated. His eyebrows carried the coldness honed by the wind and sand of the border. "What do you want to say?" "If you want to blame Yiyi, there is no need. She is gentle and will not compete with you for anything." I smiled and said, "Brother Yun Zheng." He was obviously stunned. We had been childhood sweethearts, and I had called him that behind him when I was little. "I have no feelings for you," I said straightforwardly. "Choosing you as my husband was the family's decision. After entering the mansion, I do not seek conjugal love, only a stable life. You can take concubines as you wish. I will not interfere. I will persuade mother to promote Liu Yi to concubine, and the child will be recorded in the family tree after birth." "You," Yun Zheng said in surprise. "You do not mind? What is there to mind? Isn't it good for us to treat each other with respect?" I handed him 2 identical divorce papers. "I have already signed my name on these divorce papers. Please sign your name too, brother. If one day you have a loved one entering the mansion, I will naturally leave. If I have other arrangements, I hope you will fulfill me and let me leave the mansion." Yun Zheng signed his name readily. We each kept 1 copy, and his expression relaxed a lot. He bowed to me and said, "Sister Lanyin, I am sorry. I have wronged you. It's all right. Just treat me as your younger sisters." I accepted his bow calmly. "There is just one thing I need to make clear to you, brother," I said with a slightly troubled look. "Now the household affairs are still in mother's hands, and all expenses are paid from the public funds. If concubine Liu enters the mansion, the money for her pregnancy care, childbirth preparation, wet nurse, and maids will need to be paid separately. I am afraid this money will wrong you, sister. In my previous life, I pretended to be virtuous and generous." Yun Zheng took concubines one after another, and the money allocated from public funds was not enough. Every time I reconciled the accounts at the end of the month, I took money from my dowry to fill the deficit. I was foolish back then, thinking that as the mistress of the mansion, I should be tolerant. Later I realized, why should I spend my own dowry to raise other men's concubines? In this life, I planned to make it clear first. Since he did not regard me as his wife, He should not have the nerve to ask me to pay to raise his children. Yunjung was stunned for a moment, then said without hesitation, "Don't worry, sister. I have my own savings." "That's good." I breathed a sigh of relief and smiled. I will go back to mother now and settle concubine Lu's status. I would set aside the rose garden for concubine Lu to live in. The garden was quiet, suitable for pregnancy care, and it would avoid people coming and going and bumping into her. I would also give them a separate pass to enter and exit through the west corner gate. In the future, I will go to Dongshan Villa with mother. You do not need to come to pay your respects to me every morning and evening. We will all be peaceful, but I am afraid I cannot take good care of you. Yunjung looked at me with a complicated expression. It doesn't have to be like this. He hesitated. Yeah. She. Concubine Lu is gentle. I know, I interrupted him. That's why I am thinking of her. The stewards in this mansion are all from the military, and the rules are strict. I am afraid she will not adapt. Living separately, you can set up a small kitchen for her. She can cook whatever she wants anytime, which is more convenient than the big kitchen. I paused and added, you can spoil her as much as you want with your own money. I will never interfere. Yunjung was silent for a moment, and finally nodded. All right, I will leave the house arrangement to you. I will pay for all other expenses myself, and assign 4 maids and 2 old women to serve her. We will not use the public accounts. You are straightforward, brother. I stood up and straightened my skirt. Then I will go to mother now to confirm concubine Lu's status. Liu Yi was actually not a bad person. She loved money openly and honestly, just wanting to save some family property for her child and have a support in this deep mansion. I had no objection to her getting money from Yunjung now. After all, it was not my money she was spending. Life was too long. There were no eternal enemies or eternal friends, only eternal interests. As long as others did not infringe on my interests, we could drink and make peace, putting on a facade of peace. This New Year's Eve was full of twists and turns. Concubine Lu went into labor on the 29th day of the 12th lunar month and gave birth to a son on New Year's Eve. That night, my elder sister also gave birth to the 9th prince in the palace and was promoted to noble consort Yi. After a concubine gave birth to a prince, she could summon her maternal family to the palace to visit. But my mother had gone to Shu with my father, who was appointed to an official post there. The only one who could enter the palace was me. After 6 years of separation from my elder sister, I finally saw her again. When the palace eunuch came, Yunjung had no time to care about his newborn son. This was also the first time he had heard news of his beloved after many years. I dressed up and put on my noble ordered clothes. Suddenly, he pushed the door open, startling me. He dismissed everyone and stuffed a wooden hairpin into my hand. If noble consort Yi has any orders, you can go to Imperial physician Guo Pu from the northwest in the Imperial hospital with this hairpin. He will obey any command. In my previous life, I had a cold war with Yunjung over Liu's affairs, and he hurried back to the battlefield after the new year. Many years later, I met this Imperial physician Guo in the palace, and he was already highly trusted by my elder sister. Perhaps I had missed many things. Yunjung really had some true feelings for my elder sister. That was good. The deep palace was cruel. I hoped she would have more protection. The love I could not get could be given to the person I loved. That was also good. My elder sister lived in Qingyun Hall. Although the palace had been renovated, it still looked a bit old. When she first entered the palace, she was only a noble lady, and the place she lived in must have been even worse. My elder sister, who had just given birth, had no makeup on, her face pale, making her look like a jade beauty, so beautiful that it made people feel sorry for her. Her wrist exposed outside the quilt seemed to break with a gentle fold, and blue veins winding under her almost transparent white skin. My elder sister must have suffered a lot. "You've grown taller," she said with a forced smile when she saw me come in. "Last time I saw you, you were only this tall." She gestured to her shoulder, but her hand dropped weakly before she could finish. "How did you grow up so fast in the blink of an eye?" My eyes became hot. My elder sister had been intelligent since she was a child. She was quick to learn everything: music, chess, calligraphy, painting, singing, dancing, and managing the household. When it came to me, my mother always sighed and said, "If you were half as smart as your elder sister, I would be at ease." Every time this happened, my elder sister would protect me and say, "Our Ayin does not need to compare with anyone. She just needs to grow up happily." At that time, she already knew she was going to enter the palace. She left her wishes to me, hoping that I could live the simple and happy life she could no longer have for her. When I was little, I had also been a little jealous. My elder sister's light was too bright, and walking behind her, I was like a shadow falling in the haze. Even the person I liked could only see my elder sister in his eyes. But that little jealousy soon faded. My elder sister and I were born of the same parents, connected by blood, and she was so good to me. Everyone praised her as the daughter of the Xie family when they mentioned her. I was also a daughter of the Xie family, and I was proud of it. When I got married, my elder sister sent a song brocade wedding dress from the palace, shining brightly, amazing all the guests. But I remembered clearly that on the day she entered the palace, she only wore a plain palace dress and carried a small bundle, walking into the endless palace walls. I still had the chance to marry the person I liked, but my elder sister did not even have the chance to wear a red dress. I looked down at the little baby in the swaddle. He was red and wrinkled. Mother said that the redder a baby was when born, the whiter he would grow up to be. It was true. When he grew up, he inherited his mother's beauty, as white as a jade figure. Unfortunately, his health had never been very good. But it was precisely because of his poor health that he survived until the end. The new emperor had 2 princes die one after another, and he was not even considered as a candidate. At the age of 50, he was granted the title of Prince of Guang'an by his nephew. Finally, he could take my elder sister out of the palace to take good care of her. My elder sister had suffered so much, but fortunately, she finally had a little sweetness in the end. I gave the wooden hairpin to my elder sister. After he died, I found many such useless hairpins in his study. It was rare that this one was neat and clean, with a plum blossom sticking out slantingly. I guessed this was his best work. My elder sister took the hairpin, looked at it over and over for a long time, then looked up and asked, "Is he treating you well?" I thought for a moment and answered seriously, "Not good, not bad either. He has been at the border for the past 3 years, and I have lived in Dongshan Villa with mother. The villa is very beautiful. I was busy growing flowers and birds every day, so it made no difference whether Yunjung was there or not." My elder sister reached out and pinched the flesh on my face, looking relieved. "You've put on some weight, so you must be living well." I waved my hand and said, "Stop it." She paused and added earnestly, "Don't rush into marital matters. Grow up a bit, and grow some sense." I was already 80. I had no room to grow more sense. After night fell, my elder sister ordered Quilu to invite Imperial physician Guo. The 2 maids my elder sister had brought into the palace, Kulu and Qiwen, both knew medical skills. Qiwen had even specially learned midwifery from a stable woman. My elder sister had been cautious since she was a child. After entering the palace, she had not even stepped into the imperial garden, only walking around her own palace. But even so, the child she gave birth to was getting weaker and weaker day by day. There must be something fishy about this. Imperial physician Guo arrived quickly. Although he looked young, his medical skills were indeed excellent. He checked carefully in the hall and found nothing unusual. My elder sister then asked him to check the rooms of the wet nurse and the attending maids. After a while, Imperial physician Guo came back and reported, there was something wrong with wet nurse Wang's hand warmer. The wall of the stove is 3 parts thicker than ordinary ones. Peeling off the interlayer, there is powder made of Nux vomica and Tripterygium wilfordii, refined with honey. When the charcoal fire burns, the poisonous smoke comes out from the carved holes. Over time, the poison enters the child's body through breast milk, causing liver and kidney failure. When taking the pulse, it only looks like poor health. I remembered that a few months later in my previous life, my elder sister had asked the family to send another wet nurse into the palace. Perhaps she had already noticed something wrong with Wang at that time. Fortunately, the ninth prince was just born and had a small appetite. The wet nurse's hand warmer had just been delivered and was only used in her own room, so the child was not seriously affected. Looking at the white and tender little ninth prince in front of me, I secretly breathed a sigh of relief. But if he had been healthy, he would still have been involved in the power struggles. The experiences of two lives were too bizarre, and I really did not know how to speak to my elder sister. Unexpectedly, my elder sister spoke first. "Do not publicize what happened today. The child is weak. Please record it in the medical record, Imperial physician Guo, and take good care of him." She wanted to take this opportunity to make the ninth prince pretend to be weak. Thinking back to my previous life, the ninth prince had always been known for his poor health, falling ill whenever something important happened. Yet he had lived until I died of old age, with healthy limbs. Now it seemed that this was also my elder sister's plan. I had lived two lives, but my mind was still not as quick as my elder sister's. I finally felt relieved and could rest easy and enjoy my old age again. In this life, I settled down peacefully in the side hall of Qingyun Palace with my elder sister and did not rush back to the mansion to reunite with Yanzheng. Every day, besides teasing the child, I just ate and ate. My elder sister was favored and had a high rank. The tonics sent recently were more and more precious. 1,000-year-old Ganoderma lucidum, 100-year-old Polygonum multiflorum. Just smelling them made me feel like I could live 2 more lifetimes. I drank them confidently, saying that I was testing for poison for my elder sister. After watching me drink for 7 consecutive days until my face glowed, my elder sister finally could not help it. "Your husband finally reunited with you. Why don't you go back and cultivate your relationship? What are you doing staying here with me all the time?" I was teasing the child with a cloth tiger and said, "I still need to grow up. No hurry." My elder sister's face twitched. She narrowed her eyes and looked at me for a while, then suddenly lowered her voice and asked, "Is there something wrong between you two?" "No," I continued teasing the child with the cloth tiger. "Do you want me to send a nanny over to you?" My elder sister's tone became meaningful. "She can handle anyone you can't." "No need," I quickly refused. The nannies around my elder sister were all very capable. I did not want to cause trouble for no reason. My elder sister thought for a moment, leaned closer, and lowered her voice even more. Then, "Do you want some aphrodisiac?" "No need." I almost threw the cloth tiger away, my face burning red. "Sister." "Ha ha ha." My elder sister laughed, her eyes curved. She had not been this happy for a long time. Suddenly a man's voice came from outside the door, with a hint of smile. "What is so funny?" The voice was not loud, but the whole hall fell silent instantly. His Majesty had arrived. I quickly knelt down to pay my respects. "Get up." His Majesty waved his hand, exempting me from the ceremony, and went straight to my elder sister's bed. Following behind him was a young woman in luxurious clothes, Princess Huayang, who had been infatuated with Lu Guan for half her life, married a foreign tribe far away, and died in the desert sand. Princess Huayang looked me up and down, and finally snorted from her nose. "The daughter of the Xie family is just so-so. I really don't know what the third-place graduate sees in you." My elder sister immediately lowered her eyes aggrievedly and snuggled into His Majesty's arms. The Emperor frowned and scolded in a low voice. "Huayang, do not be rude." Princess Huayang curled her lips. I lowered my head, as obedient as a quail. The princess was right. I really did not know what Lu Guan saw in me either. Just then my elder sister said aggrievedly, "My younger sister has been married to General Yun for 3 years. The general has been fighting on the battlefield all year round. She has stayed at home alone to respect and serve her parents-in-law, take care of her younger brothers-in-law, and abide by women's morals. Why does the princess hold on to the old things before she got married?" The emperor patted my elder sister comfortingly, his face becoming more and more serious. He glanced at Princess Huayang and suddenly said, "The daughter of the Xie family is gentle, kind, respectful, and thrifty, filial, and fraternal. General Yunzheng has fought on the battlefield and made contributions to the country. His wife has fulfilled her filial piety on his behalf and entered the palace to take care of noble consort Yi. She is extremely praiseworthy. I hereby confer the title of second-class noble madam on the Xie family to commend her virtue. I was stunned. If I had been scolded by the princess and even got a noble title, this was a pleasant surprise. My elder sister winked at me, and I quickly knelt down to thank the emperor. The emperor turned to Princess Huayang, his eyes sinking. You have spoken insolently and lost the dignity of the royal family. Apologize to the Xie family. Princess Huayang widened her eyes. Brother Emperor. Apologize. Princess Huayang bit her lip, her face turning red with anger, and said reluctantly, I'm sorry. Then she turned her head and ran away, crying without even performing the salute. The hall became quiet. My elder sister gently tugged at the emperor's sleeve and said softly, Thank you, Your Majesty. The emperor obviously liked this, smiled and patted my elder sister's hand and said, All right. I know you are protective of your family. It's getting late. I'll go back now. You should rest early too. After seeing the emperor off, the smile on my elder sister's face faded a little. The palace is a place of right and wrong. You should leave the palace quickly. Princess Huayang has a bad temper. She suffered a loss today, and she will definitely think of some tricks tomorrow. I was worried and asked, Will she make things difficult for you? My elder sister smiled coldly, and I felt the surrounding air turn cold. She dares not. Looking at her domineering appearance, it was the princess who should be worried. Before leaving, my elder sister stuffed a bundle into my hand. There are some banknotes inside. They are rewards from His Majesty in private. Take them, and don't let anyone know. I know Yunzheng's temperament. My elder sister held my hand and said, He has someone else in his heart and will not treat you well. The Yun family has a good family tradition and will not mistreat the main wife. Take this money. If there is any change in the future, you will have a way out. My nose felt sour. I have money. I'll save this silver for Xiaoju's marriage. Sister, you also take care of yourself and don't let Xiaoju stand out too much. My elder sister held back her tears and said, Ayan has grown up. Tears streamed down my face. I suddenly realized the trouble of having memories of a previous life. Because I knew how long the separation would last, I could not say goodbye. It was already dusk when I returned to the general's mansion. Yunzheng was not there. Concubine Lu was holding the child and teasing him in the rose garden. When she saw me come back, she stood up in a panic and saluted. No need for formalities. I waved my hand. How is the child? Fine, very well. Lu Yiyi was delicate and spoke softly. The general said I don't need to disturb madam, so. This is very good, I said. Take good care of yourself. If you need anything, ask the maid to get it from the accounts office. She stared at me blankly, probably not expecting me to be so easygoing. I ignored her thoughts and walked straight back to my yard. My luggage had already been packed, and I was ready to move to the villa early the next morning. Unexpectedly, Yunzheng was waiting for me in the yard. He stood under the plum tree, wearing ordinary clothes, looking softer than in his armor. When he saw me come in, he cleared his throat uncomfortably and said, You're back? Yes. Does the general have something to say? The Lantern Festival Palace Banquet. You are now a noble madam, so you need to go with me. A single move affects the whole situation. From the moment I entered the palace, everything seemed to have changed. Yunzheng looked at me with a complicated expression and said, Lanyin, you have become different from before. I smiled and said, What was I like before? He was silent for a moment and said, You always followed me, called me Brother Yunzheng, climbed trees for kites, and cried for rabbits. That was the 16-year-old Xie Lanyin, not the 80-year-old Xie Lanyin. People change, I said. Hasn't the general changed too? Yunzheng's face changed slightly, and he finally said nothing. At the Lantern Festival Palace banquet at night, I saw Lu Guan. He was wearing a green shirt, elegant and graceful. 3 years had passed, and he had shed the greenness of his youth, with more calmness between his eyebrows. He was like a sword drawn from its sheath, no longer sharp-edged, but even more eye-catching. Our eyes met in the air. He was slightly stunned, then lowered his eyes. "The third-place graduate has an outstanding demeanor," Yun-jung said beside me. I withdrew my gaze, drank a glass of wine calmly, and said, "Yes. I heard he writes excellent poems too." Yun-jung did not say anything more, but he held the wine glass in his hand for a long time without moving. Halfway through the banquet, the sound of silk and bamboo strings faded a little. At the banquet, Princess Huayang suddenly stood up and said with a smile, "It's boring just drinking tonight. Why don't we play a drinking game? The loser will recite a poem in public. How about it?" Everyone in the hall knew that the princess was infatuated with the third-place graduate, and her real intention was not the wine. No one wanted to spoil the fun. After a few rounds of drinking games, Princess Huayang happened to pick Lu Guan. "Master Lu, please recite a poem with the theme of plum blossom." Lu Guan stood up, and the hall fell silent. He raised his eyes slightly, looked past everyone, and landed on me for a moment, then looked away. The lone root fears not the snow and frost invasion. The sparse cold branches have stood since ancient times. If you ask the Eastern Lord for news, the spring breeze is not in the Imperial garden. The smile on Princess Huayang's face froze for a moment. She understood. The spring breeze is not in the Imperial garden. Lu Guan was politely refusing the princess's favor, saying he did not seek the emperor's favor. The princess bit her lip, her face changing several times, and suddenly turned her gaze to me. "I heard that General's madam is also proficient in literature and ink." She smiled, but the smile did not reach her eyes. "Why don't you also recite one? With the theme of snow?" The atmosphere in the hall suddenly became tense. All eyes turned to me, some sympathetic, some gloating, some just watching the fun. Yun-jung's hand holding the wine glass paused, and he turned his head to glance at me. I opened my mouth and said honestly, "Your Highness, I am unlearned and cannot write poems." The hall became even quieter. Princess Huayang raised the corner of her mouth. "Madam is too modest." "Your Highness," a clear voice interrupted her. Lu Guan had left his seat at some point, stood in the middle of the hall, bowed to the princess, and said calmly, "We are playing a drinking game today, and only the loser recites poems. Madam did not lose the game, so it is against the rules to ask her to recite poems suddenly. If your Highness wants to hear another poem about snow, I am willing to try my hand." The princess's face turned pale. The emperor coughed lightly, turned his head to glance at Princess Huayang, his eyes slightly cold. "No need. Continue drinking." The sound of silk and bamboo strings started again, and the atmosphere in the hall finally became lively. I lowered my head and took a sip of wine, my heart still beating fast. Yun-jung suddenly leaned closer and whispered in my ear. "He stood up for you." I remained calm and said, "I am a married woman." The general is joking. Yun-jung did not say anything more, but picked up the wine pot and filled his empty glass again. After spring began, I moved to Dongshan Villa. My mother-in-law did not want me to leave at first. "Yin, if you leave, won't that seductress become even more arrogant?" "Mother," I held her arm and said, "I am young, and I will have plenty of opportunities in the future. The villa is quiet. Let me stay with you." My mother-in-law sighed and said, "All right." Returning to the villa after a long time, the leisurely life here was much better than in the capital. In spring, I planted vegetables with my mother-in-law and learned to keep accounts with manager Lee. In summer, we fished by the stream and enjoyed the cool under the shade of trees. In autumn, the mountains were full of ripe fruits. Yun Ting and Yun Hui climbed trees to pick persimmons, and I caught them under the trees. In winter, we sat around the stove making tea and listening to snow falling on the plum branches. 3 years passed, and another 3 years. Yun-jung occasionally sent letters talking about the war in northern Xinjiang, and that his new concubine Li had given birth to a daughter. I also wrote back to him, saying that Lu Yi's child should start his studies, And if they were looking for a teacher, they could hire Scholar Tui from Dongshan Academy as a tutor. My letters were as polite as those between business partners, but his letters became more and more frequent. Lanyin, we encountered an enemy attack today and killed 800 enemies. Lanyin, it's snowing at the border. Is everything well at home? I did not care and still replied with polite words. My 80-year-old heart had long stopped being stirred by such words. Another 3 years passed, and news came from the capital that my elder sister was pregnant again. I immediately asked for an imperial edict to enter the palace to take care of her. This pregnancy was much more dangerous than the last time. Imperial physician Guo said that my elder sister was weak and might not be able to keep this child. Yes, my elder sister had only one child in her life. I watched my elder sister take all kinds of tonics and suffer a lot. But the child still died in the womb. She was extremely sad, but had to hold back her spirits to guard against open and hidden attacks. I could only try my best to take care of her and make her happy. His Majesty was seriously ill. I calculated the date. About a month later, the second prince and the noble consort would launch a palace coup. Fortunately, my elder sister had not been favored much recently. Now that she had finished her confinement, Xiaoju had been clinging to me these days. I just took the opportunity to take Xiaoju to the villa to hide for a while. Unexpectedly, the palace coup happened ahead of time. I had just brought a bowl of calming soup to my elder sister when I heard shouts of killing coming from outside. My elder sister's panic only lasted for a moment. She was not without preparations for the chaos in the palace. Take Xiaoju away. My elder sister stuffed Xiaoju into my arms. Eunuch Chen will escort you out of the palace. Sister. Don't talk nonsense. My elder sister interrupted me, then bent down and kissed Xiaoju's forehead. Listen to Auntie. Xiaoju nodded vigorously, bit his lip, and did not make a sound. The night wind blew in with the smell of blood. I did not look back. Outside the palace walls, it was a complete mess. There were soldiers running around with torches everywhere, and I could not tell which side was which. Eunuch Chen protected us and took us through winding paths, choosing the dark and quiet roads. Xiaoju lay on my shoulder motionless, his little hand clutching my collar tightly. We were about to leave the palace when a fire suddenly lit up ahead, coming towards us. Soldiers! Eunuch Chen turned around and stood in front of us. Madam, run quickly. I suddenly stuffed Xiaoju into Eunuch Chen's arms and pushed him through a dog hole. Take him to the general's mansion. I took a deep breath, turned around, and ran in the other direction, deliberately making my footsteps heavy. Over there, chase. The firelight rushed towards me. I turned into an alley, then another, turning so many corners that I did not even know where I had run. The shouts of killing behind me were getting closer and closer, and my heart was getting more and more desperate. It's over. I won't live to be 80 this time. Just as I stepped on empty air and thought I was going to fall flat on my face, a hand suddenly stretched out from the dark, covered my mouth tightly, and put an arm around my waist, pulling me into a nearby palace. I struggled desperately. It's me. It was Lu Guan. He had been compiling books in the palace these years. His arm was wrapped around my waist, pulling me into a dark hole. I could not see his face in the dark, but I could feel his breathing was rapid and hot, hitting my neck like a ball of fire. Footsteps passed outside, and the palace was searched. The firelight leaked through the gap above for a moment, then dimmed again. Only then did I realize we were in a cellar. It was filled with books and scrolls, and the air was filled with the smell of old paper and ink, mixed with the faint pine scent on Lu Guan's body. This must be the secret document storage place in the library. The footsteps faded away. I breathed a sigh of relief, and was about to speak when I felt Lu Guan's body trembling slightly. Lu Guan? I turned to look at him. By the last glimmer of firelight, I saw his face was flushed, spreading from his neck to the roots of his ears. Don't come here, he said hoarsely, shrinking back. His fingers were trembling, clutching the bookshelf beside him tightly, his breathing heavy and rapid. What's wrong with you? I leaned closer. Don't come here. I've been drugged. He had bitten his lip, and bright red blood drops fell down, making him look as beautiful as a demon. His eyes were starting to blur, and his pupils were burning with 2 clusters of dark fire. I suddenly felt a familiar feeling. This palace coup, this cellar, this gaze, this heartbeat, it was as if I had experienced it before. Not in my previous life, but seemingly even earlier. Some images seemed to appear in my mind, of us being intimate here, and of me marrying him in a wedding dress, him lifting my veil, and me calling him my husband. Looking at Lu Guan like this, my heart felt like it was being clenched. Anyway, Yunjung and I were already like siblings. Why should I keep my chastity for him? Who knew if tomorrow or death would come first? I took a step forward. I told you not to come here. He suddenly raised his hand and knocked over a pile of books, which clattered to the ground. His voice was already hoarse, with a near begging meaning. You will regret it. I stretched out my hand and gently touched his face. The skin under my fingertips was frighteningly hot. Who knows if we can survive tonight? His Adam's apple rolled. You're crazy. Yes, I said. Crazy. In the dark, the sound of cloth slipping was almost inaudible. His breathing suddenly stopped, like a string stretched to the extreme, finally breaking at this moment. There was still blood on his lips, and the smell of iron mixed with the pine scent on his body enveloped me overwhelmingly. Outside the cellar, I did not know which direction, the faint sounds of shouting and crying came. On the wooden board above, messy footsteps ran past, and then ran away. But those sounds were like separated by a thick layer of cotton wool, vague and unreal. What was real was Lu Guan's body temperature, his slightly trembling fingers, and him calling my name hoarsely in my ear. Again and again, like a tide, drowning me completely. That familiar, fateful dizziness surged up again. I must have experienced this before. I did not know what the ending of that life was. But at this moment, I did not want to care anymore. The 3 days in the cellar seemed as long as half a lifetime. In the dark, there were only the breathing of 2 people, and the occasional fine soil falling from above. Lu Guan had not washed for 3 days, a few strands of broken hair falling down, setting off his overly good-looking face with a kind of downcast nobility. I was really a shallow person. 3 days later, there was no movement outside. The winner and loser had probably been decided. At night, Lu Guan and I finally crawled out through a broken hole in the side door and hid in a nearby civilian alley. Where are you going? Lu Guan's eyes were bright in the moonlight, like 2 clusters of faint fire hidden inside. I lowered my head to straighten my sleeve with a gash, patted the dust off it. After these 3 days, my hair must have been messy too. I did not need a mirror to know how embarrassed I was. I still have birds at home to feed, I said. He was stunned for a moment, then laughed angrily. Why don't you say you're going home to feed the chickens? He said. Under the moonlight, our shadows overlapped. Unfortunately, it could only be for one night. It happened suddenly. I had lost my head over his beauty, but I could not stay lost forever. I am a married woman. I'm afraid old Mrs. Lu will not let me enter the Lu family door. He held my hand and refused to let go. I will persuade my mother to marry you. The moonlight was so beautiful tonight. Lu Guan like this was really easy to shake people's hearts. Really, just a little bit more. No need. My voice was calmer than I expected. The capital is in chaos now, not a place to stay for long. Your ambition has not yet been fulfilled. It is said that prime ministers must rise from local offices, and brave generals must come from the ranks. I do not want to be trapped in the inner house of the Lu family, and you should not be trapped in the past. I forcefully pulled my hand back, stepped back, and turned to leave. Take care, my lord. Lu Guan did not move. In the moonlight, he pressed his lips together, with thousands of emotions in his eyes. I took a deep breath, raised my hand to wipe the corner of my eye, turned into a side road, and finally could not see him anymore. He did not chase after me. Good. He would become a top-ranking minister, have a wife and children, and a full house of descendants. I would live a free and unrestrained life, peaceful and happy all my life. I hired a carriage by myself and returned to the general's mansion. The 9th prince was still waiting for me. The moment I pushed open the door, A small body jumped up from the couch and threw itself into my arms. After a few days apart, Xiaoju had lost a lot of weight. When he saw me come back safely, he stayed in my arms aggrieved for a long time. "Auntie, I missed you so much." The situation in the capital was even worse than I remembered. The news of the emperor's death had come 3 days ago. The crown prince was accused of treason and imprisoned pending trial. The second prince controlled the palace city with the support of the Imperial guards. But the fourth prince and seventh prince each had fiefdoms and troops and would not give up easily. This chaos could not be calmed down in less than 3 to 5 years. My elder sister had not been favored since giving birth to Xiaoju. Staying in the palace was nothing more than being under house arrest, and she was not in danger of life for the time being. But Xiaoju was different. Once the second prince completely controlled the court, the first thing he would do was liquidate all brothers who might threaten his throne. Not many people knew that Xiaoju was in the general's mansion, but it was by no means a secret. The second prince's men would find out sooner or later. My elder sister had entrusted Xiaoju to me, trusting me with her life. I could not let her down. I could not wait here for death. I grinded ink and spread paper, leaving 3 letters. The first letter was to inform my elder sister that we were safe, that Xiaoju and I were well, so she could rest assured. I gave the letter to eunuch Chen to send into the palace when he had the chance later. The second letter was to inform my mother-in-law that I was safe, so she did not have to worry. The third letter was sent to northern Xinjiang, with the divorce paper we had written long ago attached. Before dawn, I held the sleeping Xiaoju and got on the carriage. I drove the carriage alone slowly towards Dongshan Villa. I had bought this villa many years ago and kept it a secret, even from my mother-in-law, just in case of emergencies. I did not expect it to really come in handy. Over the years, Manager Li had built a 2-entry courtyard according to my wishes. The small study in the front yard had windows facing the pomegranate tree in the yard. There were 3 main rooms in the inner courtyard, and the bedroom had a heated wall, warm in winter. There was a 1 square small pond in the backyard, fed by mountain spring water, raising more than a dozen koi carp. Plantain and wisteria were planted by the pond, with stone tables and benches built. A small vegetable plot was opened in the corner of the wall, surrounded by bamboo fences, neat and good-looking. Xiaoju was timid for the first few days, but he became wild after 3 days. He ran barefoot to the backyard to squat by the pond touching fish, and climbing trees was a skill he learned without being taught. After 2 months of being wild, his face was tanned, and his arms and legs became strong. At night, he nestled in my arms, counting on his fingers how many fish he had caught, how many bird eggs he had picked, and how many cicadas he had caught under the wisteria frame that day. He fell asleep while talking, with a smile on his mouth. If my elder sister saw Xiaoju like this, she would probably be relieved too. Yunjung found me here in April. The peach blossoms on the mountain had just faded, and the pomegranate tree in the yard had just sprouted tender red buds. I was squatting in the vegetable plot in the backyard pulling weeds, and Xiaoju was by the pond teasing the koi carp with a wicker, calling the fish, chirp, chirp, in his mouth. Then I heard the sound of horse hooves. Yunjung suddenly found me here. He had sent military scouts to find my whereabouts. In just 1 year, he looked 5 years older, dark thin, with a bandage wrapped around his left arm. There was unrest in the capital, and northern Xinjiang was not peaceful either. We fought 2 tough battles last winter, with heavy casualties. Now it's finally stable. I rushed back day and night. He took out the divorce paper from his arms. The paper was crumpled, obviously read over and over again. Lanyin, over the years, I have understood one thing. He suddenly grabbed my hand, his eyes bright, just like when he was young. I used to cling to what I couldn't get, but ignored what I already had. Can you give me another chance? A sudden nausea surged up, my stomach churning. I suddenly shook off his hand, bent over, and covered my mouth, retching twice. Yunjung was stunned. He first looked at me blankly, then his face changed little by little. "You're pregnant?" I did not answer. I stood up, wiped the corner of my mouth with the back of my hand, and turned my face away from his eyes. "Whose is it?" He stared at me fiercely, and a little red seeped out of the bandage on his left arm at some point. I refused to answer. After a long time, he suppressed his raging anger and said, "You live in the mansion, and the child will be said to be adopted. We will still be a loving couple." When had we ever been loving? I looked at him and suddenly felt very tired. I did not want to pretend anymore. No need. I just want to live openly with my child. I don't want to pretend anymore. I have already given you the divorce paper. In the future, I hope you will not come again. The sound of horse hooves dispersed in the mountain wind. Xiaoju had come out of the house at some point, walked gently to my side, pulled my corner, looked up at me and said,
Push!
"Auntie, who is that uncle?" I looked down at him and touched his head. "An old friend. He looks very sad." "Yes." "Auntie, are you sad?" I thought for a moment and said, "No." It was the truth. Not sad, not hateful, not even any regret. Yunzheng did not love me that much. I had known that for a long time. His visit today might have been due to unwillingness, guilt, or just being used to having someone who would never leave by his side. He thought I would always be there when he turned back. But I had already walked far away. Xiaoju hugged my leg, buried his face in my waist, and said sullenly, "Auntie, I don't want you to be sad." I bent down and picked him up. He was much heavier than last year. His arms and legs were strong. He put his arms around my neck and rested his chin on my shoulder. "Auntie is not sad." I patted his back and walked towards the house. "Auntie made you egg custard. Eat it while it's hot." "Okay." The egg custard was tender, drizzled with a little soy sauce and sprinkled with a few chopped green onions. Xiaoju sat at the table and ate spoonful by spoonful, wholeheartedly. I sat opposite, resting my chin on my hand and watching him, my hand unconsciously placed on my lower abdomen. It was still flat, and I could not feel anything. But I knew a small life had already taken root there. 7 months later, on a drizzly morning, my daughter arrived. Fate was strange. The fear and absurdity of that palace coup night had actually borne such a soft, fragrant little fruit that melted my heart. Xiaoju poked his head and looked for a long time, then said, "Auntie, what's the little sister's name?" "Anan," I said softly. "May she be safe and smooth all her life." Days passed, and Anne grew day by day. Xiaoju became the most dutiful brother in the world. Every day he fished small fish from the backyard pond, put them in a small wooden basin, and brought them to Anne, saying, "Little sister, look, fish." And Anne would, cry, clap her little hands in the water, splashing water all over both of them. I could not help laughing out loud. Life in the villa was like a mountain stream, flowing slowly and steadily. The pomegranate tree in the corner bore fruit every year, revealing ruby-like seeds. Xiaoju and Anne each held half, eating with red faces. Wild pheasants from the mountains often came to the backyard, cooing and stealing vegetable leaves. Xiaoju learned to make traps with bamboo strips to raise them for eggs. Xiaoju grew tall quickly, and An also grew from a pink ball into a little girl who could run and jump. There were no dates in the mountains, and I did not know the year when the cold passed. There were only the changes of 4 seasons and the growth and withering of plants and trees here. 7 years later, news finally came from the capital that the dust had settled. The second prince was executed. The crown prince ascended the throne and was then poisoned to death. Now the grandson sat on the dragon throne. This kind and young emperor rebuilt the country, and the world was peaceful. The new emperor was especially tolerant of Xiaoju, his only uncle who had not participated in the fight for the throne. He conferred the title of Prince of Ning on him and gave him a mansion. Before returning to the palace, Xiaoju hugged An and cried for a long time in the villa, saying he would definitely come back to see his sister often. The first thing he did after returning to the palace was to beg the emperor to take my elder sister, who had been trapped in the cold palace for many years, out of the palace, and settle her in the back house of the prince's mansion to recuperate. My elder sister and I met again. Most of her hair was white. She held my hand and cried, "Ayin, you have raised Xiaoju very well." I cried so hard that I could not speak. What surprised me even more was that my mother-in-law came. She was much older than 7 years ago, her hair all white, her waist bent, but she was still in good spirits. She stood at the gate of the yard, and when she saw me, her eyes immediately turned red. "Ayin," she said. "Although you have signed a divorce paper with my family, I have always regarded you as my daughter. From now on, I am your foster mother, and you are my foster daughter. Will you accept?" I knelt on the ground, crying so hard that my whole body trembled. I stammered and told her that I had taken the 9th prince with me, afraid that the news would leak out and bring harm to the whole Yun family. My foster mother squatted down, wiped my tears with her sleeve, and said, "Silly child, I understand all these things. But I also feel sorry for you." And Anne had run out of the house at some point, hiding shyly behind me. When my foster mother saw her, her eyes lit up. She squatted down tremblingly, took out a pair of golden bracelets from her arms, and put them on Annan's little wrist. "This is from grandmother." And Anne looked up at me. I nodded, and she sweetly called out, "Grandmother." My foster mother hugged her, tears streaming down her face. Yun Ting and Yun Hui also came. They were less than 10 years old when I left, but now they were tall and big teenagers. Their voices were changing, sounding like ducks. They called me sister with red eyes. Such a touching scene matched with their quacking voices made me want to cry but could not. From then on, the two families often visited each other. My foster mother brought Yun Ting and Yun Hui to stay in the villa every few days. Yun Ting rode horses and shot arrows, and Yun Hui studied hard. These two naughty boys had now become one civil and one military. My elder sister occasionally came to live in my villa and fell in love with it here. My elder sister and I watered flowers and planted vegetables in the yard every time, watching Inan chase butterflies. Time flew by, and another 3 years passed. My father died of illness in his official post in Shu. I went back to the mansion to pay my respects. Outside the morning hall, I met Lu Guan again. He had returned from southern Xinjiang and was now the Vice Minister of Revenue, highly favored by the emperor. "Madam, please accept my condolences," he bowed. "Master Lu," I returned the salute. "Thank you for coming to see my father off." He looked at me with a complicated expression and said, "These years, are you well?" "Very well," I said. "The villa is quiet, suitable for enjoying my old age." He was stunned for a moment, then smiled and said, "Madam is joking. You are in your prime." "I'm already a middle-aged woman," I said. "Master Lu, you have a bright future. Please marry a virtuous wife soon." Lu Guan stood there, his figure lonely. I hoped someone would accompany him to watch the snow and grow old together. After the morning, the carriage set off on its return journey. Both sides of the official road in autumn were full of yellow reeds. When the wind blew, white catkins flew all over the sky. The moment I stopped the carriage to enjoy the scenery, a dull thud came from behind me. And Anne jumped off the carriage, held a windmill in her hand, stood in the middle of the road, and grinned at me. I quickly jumped down and said, "Didn't I tell you to wait quietly? What if you fall?" She looked a little aggrieved and whispered, "I want Mother to see the windmill spinning fast." I sighed, stuffed her back into the carriage, and was about to get on when I caught a glimpse of a green-curtained carriage not far behind me. The carriage followed slowly all the way to the gate of the villa. My heart skipped a beat. When we reached the manor, I had my daughter taken inside first and stood at the gate, watching the carriage come to a slow halt. The curtain was drawn aside, and there stood Lu Guan. "This is my daughter," he said. His voice was soft, yet crystal clear. An air bore such a striking resemblance to him that their bond was obvious at a glance. My heart skipped a beat, but my face turned cold. "This has nothing to do with you." His gaze swept past me, falling on the small figure inside the manor holding a pinwheel. After a moment of silence, he spoke no more, turned, and climbed back onto the carriage. A few days later, a crowd suddenly appeared on the long deserted plot outside the manor. Surveyors measuring the land, laborers hauling timber, masons laying walls, carpenters setting beams. The clanging and hammering made a lively bustle. 3 hours. Day by day, the residence took shape: gray tiles, white walls, with a pomegranate tree transplanted into the courtyard. Months later, when the house was completed, I saw the figure in the blue robe again, personally carrying crates of books down from the carriage and setting a pot of orchid on the steps with his own hands. The next day, I could hold back no longer and went to his door. "You are an Imperial official. What sort of example is it for you to live outside someone else's manor? Go home at once." He curled his lips into a roguish smile. "You are not my wife. What business is it of yours where I live?" "You." He was unreasonably unapologetic, leaving me speechless with rage. I spun on my heel and left. A low chuckle followed me from behind. He was swamped with duties at the Ministry of Revenue, buried in paperwork day and night, often too busy to eat. Yet every 10 days, on his official rest day, he would rise before dawn, mount his horse, and ride to the manor without fail. At first, my daughter was shy and hid from him, refusing to come out. Holding a string of sugar-coated hawthorns, he waited patiently, finally luring the little glutton out. Later, she finally let him hold her. As he cradled her, his eyes glistened. He rested his chin on her soft little head and said nothing for a long while. My heart softened. Shifts swept through the Imperial court again, with many officials scrambling for promotion. He was well due to rise higher. With his talent, joining the Grand Secretariat and becoming Chancellor was only a matter of time. Yet he remained firmly rooted as Minister of Revenue, never advancing again. He taught our daughter in the courtyard, reciting, "A scholar must be broad-minded and steadfast, for his burden is heavy and his journey far." I could not help but say, "You have studied the sage's teachings all these years. You ought to serve in the Grand Secretariat as Chancellor. Do not waste your time on such trivial things." He finally lifted his head, his gaze resting on my face for a moment, then looked back at our daughter and said earnestly, "What is so good about being Grand Secretary or Chancellor? Nothing compares to a warm home with wife and children." "Candidate," I scoffed. "You speak as if you have already been Chancellor." He froze, then laughed at himself. "I have not. Nor do I have a wife, nor have I ever shared a warm bed with one. Right now, I am little more than a secret companion, with no proper status at all." That night, I slipped into his bed. I would not bear such an empty reputation. He would have to make good on his words with deeds. When I was 42, Yunjung fell in battle. His body returned wrapped in a horse's hide. The people of the northern border mourned deeply. On his funeral day, crowds lined the roads, weeping and accompanying his cortege, unwilling to leave. He had fought on the battlefield for decades, guarding the peace of the great Xia. In my past life, he may have failed those close to him, but he never let down the common people. When we were young, I once saw him drinking and practicing swordsmanship beneath the moon, reciting, "Do not mock me if I sleep drunk on the battlefield. Few who go to war ever return." Even knowing his forefathers' fate, he still charged into battle with fiery passion. How could he not be called a hero? Though I never loved him, I still held him in high regard. May he fulfill his wishes in his next life. When Lu Guan was 46, he resigned from office to observe filial mourning for his mother and retired to the mountains. As fate would have it, he retired to this very eastern mountain where I lived. Never one to stay idle, he taught at the Eastern Mountain Academy. That same year, Anna opened her medical clinic. Before the opening, she asked me with a hint of worry, "Mother, if I become a physician, will it be hard for me to marry?" I tapped her head lightly. "Do what you wish. I'm married and divorced, yet I still live well." Lu Guan stood beside us, speaking proudly. "Exactly. I never married in my life, yet I have fame and rank, and a daughter. If worst comes to worst, we can take a son-in-law into our family." His words sounded odd, and I could not tell what he was so smug about. Time flew by, spinning through spring, summer, autumn, and winter. Xiaoju married a gentle and virtuous commandery princess, and they had a pair of dragon phoenix twins, keeping his elder sister endlessly busy. Yun Ting went to the northern border to become the third generation of the Yun family to guard it as a general. Yun Hui passed the Imperial examination and entered the Hanlin Academy. We took a skilled young physician as her live-in son-in-law. On my 60th birthday, heavy snow fell all night long. When I rose at dawn, Lu Guan was already sweeping snow outside the gate. I watched his back and whispered softly. An old love suddenly crosses my mind. Looking back, the world has turned to autumn. If we share the snow with our longing, in this life, we have grown white-haired together. He turned around in shock, staring at me. So it was true. So what was true? I asked. He smiled, a look of relief washing over him. Outside, snowflakes fell thick and fast once more. He set down his broom, took my hand, and sat with me beside the warm stove. I suddenly asked him, "If there is a next life, do you have any unfulfilled wishes?" He gently brushed snowflakes from my hair. "In this life, I have already gotten everything I wanted. I need no next life." The biggest twist of this story, to me, isn't a plot twist, it's a love twist. We're so used to seeing grand romances with dramatic declarations and epic battles, but this story is about quiet devotion. It's about showing up, even when you're not wanted. It's about choosing love over ambition, family over fame. It's about how love isn't always perfect, but it's always worth it. So, what did you think? Did the twist about Lu Guan giving up the chancellor position surprise you? Was the final poem as moving to you as it was to me? Let me know in the comments below. See you next time.